The Crythian war fleet dominated the void like a swarm of metal predators. 300 warships hung in formation around the besieged colony world of Tyrannus IV, their weapons blazing against the planetary shields below. Admiral Vexthor stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Devastator, watching the siege with satisfaction written across his reptilian features. "The shields are weakening," his tactical officer reported, her clawed hands dancing across holographic displays. "Estimate 30 minutes until complete failure." Vexthor clicked his teeth together in approval. The Tyrannus colony belonged to the Galactic Commonwealth, that pathetic alliance of weak species who believed in diplomacy and cooperation. For decades, they had stood in the way of Crythian expansion. Now, finally, the Commonwealth was crumbling under the might of the Crythian Empire. "Any word from the Commonwealth fleet?" Vexthor asked. "Their nearest battle group is 6 days away," another officer responded. "The colony will be ours long before reinforcements arrive." Below them, Tyrannus IV burned. The planet housed 15 million civilians from a dozen different species. Factories, farms, universities, hospitals, all of it would soon belong to the Empire. The survivors would serve as labor if they chose to live. Vexthor had no particular cruelty in his heart, but neither did he harbor mercy. This was conquest, pure and simple. The bridge hummed with the sounds of warfare. Weapons fire lanced through space, impacting shields in brilliant displays of energy. Smaller fighters zipped between capital ships, engaging the few remaining defense platforms that orbited the planet. It was, Vexthor thought, almost beautiful. "Admiral!" The sensor officer's voice cut through the ambient noise, sharp with urgency. "I'm detecting an anomaly." Vexthor turned. "Explain." "Something just appeared in Sector 7, approximately 20,000 kilometers from the fleet's periphery." The officer's scales had paled slightly. "It wasn't there on any previous scan. No jump signature, no warp trail. It simply appeared." "Stealth ship?" Vexthor suggested, though he felt a prickle of unease. Commonwealth stealth technology was good, but not that good. "Unknown, sir. The readings are unlike anything in our database." The officer expanded the sensor display. "Whatever it is, it's big. Mass readings suggest something the size of a heavy cruiser or small battleship." Vexthor studied the data. The object remained motionless, hanging in space like a silent observer. "Hail it!" Silence greeted their transmission. The mysterious vessel made no response, no movement. It simply existed, a dark shape against the stars. "Weapons lock established," the tactical officer reported. "Shall I fire?" "Not yet." Vexthor narrowed his eyes. "Deploy reconnaissance drones. I want visual confirmation of what we're dealing with." 3 small drones launched from the Crimson Devastator, accelerating toward the mysterious contact. They transmitted data in real time as they approached, and slowly, an image began to form on the main view screen. The ship was like nothing in the known galaxy, sleek where Crythian vessels were angular, smooth where Commonwealth ships showed modular construction. Its hull absorbed light rather than reflecting it, making it appear as a void-shaped hole in space. No obvious weapons ports marked its surface. No engine glow illuminated its stern. It looked almost organic, as if grown rather than built. "Analysis?" Vexthor demanded. "The hull composition is completely unknown," the science officer reported. "Materials reading suggests some form of advanced metamaterial that shouldn't be possible with current technology. Power readings are minimal, almost non-existent, yet the ship maintains perfect position without visible thrust." One of the reconnaissance drones moved closer, its cameras feeding high-resolution imagery. As it approached within 100 meters, something changed. The mysterious ship's surface rippled, and the drone simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris. One moment it was there, the next it had vanished. What just happened? Vexthor's voice was ice. Unknown, Admiral. The drone's telemetry cut off instantly. No weapon discharge detected, no energy spike. It just stopped existing. The remaining 2 drones retreated rapidly, racing back toward the safety of the fleet. Vexthor felt his battle-hardened instincts screaming warnings. In 40 years of military service, he had faced Commonwealth battleships, Zentari destroyers, and Maraxian dreadnoughts. He had never encountered anything that could make a drone simply disappear. "All ships, battle stations," he ordered. "Redirect the 3rd wave from planetary bombardment. I want 200 ships focused on that contact." The Crithian fleet responded with practiced efficiency. Warships broke from their siege positions, turning their weapons toward the mysterious vessel. Energy cannons charged, missile tubes loaded, fighters scrambled. Within minutes, an overwhelming force faced the lone intruder. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," the communications officer announced. "Audio only. Source is the unknown vessel." "Play it." Static filled the bridge for a moment, then a voice emerged. It was calm, measured, speaking in perfect galactic common. But there was something about it that made Vexthor's scales itch, a quality he couldn't quite identify. "Crithian fleet, this is the human vessel Shadow of Earth. You are hereby ordered to cease your attack on Tyrannus 4 and withdraw from this system immediately." Silence consumed the bridge. Every officer stared at the view screen in shock. Vexthor felt his blood run cold. "Human?" he whispered. The word sent ripples of fear through his crew. Humans were legend, myth, cautionary tales told to young warriors. Supposedly, they came from a death world called Earth, somewhere beyond the explored regions of the galaxy. Stories claimed they were demons in flesh, capable of unthinkable violence. But they were just stories. Humans didn't actually exist, or so everyone had believed. "Respond," Vexthor ordered, forcing authority into his voice. "Tell them we do not negotiate with myths and children's stories. Tell them to leave or be destroyed." The communications officer transmitted the message. The response came immediately. "This is your only warning. Withdraw now." Vexthor bared his teeth. "Open fire, all ships." 200 warships unleashed hell. Energy beams, plasma bolts, kinetic rounds, and fusion missiles converged on the mysterious vessel's position. Enough firepower to crack a moon lit up the void, a display of destructive force that would overwhelm any known ship's defenses. The weapons struck an invisible barrier surrounding the human ship, exploding in cascading waves of light and energy. The bombardment continued for 30 seconds, an eternity in space combat. When it finally ceased, debris and dissipating energy clouds filled the space where the target had been. "Direct hits confirmed," Tactical reported. "No ship could survive that." But as the clouds cleared, the human vessel remained, untouched, undamaged. The dark hull showed not a single scorch mark. "Impossible," someone whispered. The Shadow of Earth moved for the first time. It didn't accelerate gradually like normal ships. It simply moved, crossing 5,000 kilometers in an instant, appearing in the midst of the Crithian formation. Ships scattered in panic, collision alarms wailing. "It's among us," an officer shouted. "How did it move that fast?" The human vessel rotated slowly, as if surveying the chaos it had created. Then it began to change. Sections of its hull reconfigured, revealing weapon systems that defied conventional design. No gun barrels, no missile tubes, just smooth surfaces that began to glow with a pale blue light. "Evasive action," Vexthor commanded, but it was too late. The human ship fired, not projectiles or energy beams, but something else entirely. Waves of force rippled outward, passing through shields as if they didn't exist. Where the waves touched Crithian warships, systems failed. Engines died, weapons powered down, life support faltered. Within seconds, 20 ships floated dead in space. "They're disabling our vessels," the tactical officer reported, her voice climbing toward panic. "Our shields offer no protection." Another wave pulsed from the shadow of Earth. Another 30 ships went dark. The Crithian fleet, so confident minutes before, descended into chaos. Ships fired wildly, hitting each other as often as missing entirely. Others attempted to flee, only to find their warp drives unresponsive. "All weapons, focus fire!" Vexthor roared. "Concentrate everything on that ship." The fleet obeyed, and for a moment, Vexthor felt hope. Hundreds of weapons struck the human vessel simultaneously from multiple angles. Surely no shield could withstand such an assault. The shadow of Earth shuddered under the impact. For a brief instant, its protective barrier flickered, showing cracks in its defense. But then it stabilized, and the human ship began to glow brighter. "Energy readings are off the scale," the science officer reported. "It's absorbing our weapons fire." The human vessel released the accumulated energy in a single, devastating pulse. The wave expanded outward in all directions, and this time, it didn't just disable ships. Crithian warships exploded, their hulls tearing apart from internal detonations. Within seconds, the fleet lost 100 vessels. "Retreat!" Vexthor ordered. "All ships, emergency jump! Get out of this system!" But the shadow of Earth had other plans. The human vessel accelerated again, moving impossibly fast, positioning itself in the path of the fleeing ships. When Crithian vessels attempted to engage their warp drives, they found the space around them locked down, unstable, refusing to tear. "They're preventing us from jumping," the helm officer reported. "Something about their ship is disrupting subspace." Vexthor watched his fleet die. Ships that had moments ago been symbols of Crithian might now floated as lifeless hulks or expanding clouds of debris. The shadow of Earth moved through the formation like a predator, disabling and destroying with precision. It targeted weapons systems, engines, command centers, demonstrating knowledge of Crithian ship design that should have been impossible. "Admiral, the Crimson Devastator is being hailed," communications reported. "It's them again." "Put it through," Vexthor said quietly. "Crithian Commander," the human voice said, still calm despite the carnage. "I gave you a warning. You chose violence. Now you will leave this system, but you will leave a message with you. Tell your empire what happened here. Tell them that humanity has returned to the galaxy. Tell them that we will not tolerate aggression against innocent worlds." "Who are you?" Vexthor asked, his voice hollow. "What are you?" "We are human," came the response. "We are what happens when a species survives everything a death world can throw at it. We are what develops when a people refuse to surrender, no matter the odds. We are what you get when you threaten those who cannot defend themselves." The shadow of Earth moved again, this time accelerating away from the Crithian fleet. But before it left, it fired one more time. The weapon struck not the ships, but the planet below. Vexthor watched in confusion as the pulse passed through Tyrannus IV's atmosphere and struck the surface. "What did they do?" he demanded. The science officer worked frantically at her console. "I don't understand. Their weapons somehow reinforced the planetary shields. They just gave the colony enough power to withstand our bombardment for days." The human vessel reached the edge of the system and paused. On the view screen, words appeared, text rather than voice this time. "You have 3 hours to gather survivors and leave this system. If you are still here after that time, we will return. You will not receive another warning." Then the shadow of Earth vanished. Not warp, not jump. It simply ceased to exist, leaving no trace that it had ever been there. Vexthor stood on his bridge, surrounded by the wreckage of his fleet. Of 300 ships, barely 100 remained functional. Thousands of his warriors floated dead in space. The colony below, which should have been his prize, now stood protected by human technology. "Begin rescue operations," he ordered softly. "Recover all survivors. Prepare for withdrawal." "But Admiral," an officer began. "Did you not hear them?" Vexthor snapped. "Did you not see what they did to us? We are leaving. And when we return to the homeworld, we will tell the High Command everything. Let them decide how to deal with humans." As the Crithian fleet limped away from Tyrannus IV, one thought consumed Vexthor's mind. The humans were real. They were powerful, and they had just announced their presence to a galaxy that had forgotten they existed. Everything was about to change. The Galactic Commonwealth Council chamber existed in a state of organized chaos. Representatives from 47 member species filled the circular hall, their voices rising in a cacophony of fear, speculation, and debate. Holographic displays showed footage captured from the Tyrannus IV incident, played on repeat for the thousands of delegates watching from their home worlds. Chancellor Mira Sorrenth, a Valori with pale blue skin and 4 arms, called for order. Her ceremonial staff struck the floor 3 times, producing a resonant chime that cut through the noise. Slowly, reluctantly, the chamber fell silent. "We have all seen the evidence," Mira said, her voice amplified throughout the hall. "The question before us now is how we respond. Ambassador Kretfin of Krithia has requested to address the Council. While the Krithian Empire is not a Commonwealth member, given the circumstances, I believe we should hear what they have to say." Murmurs rippled through the crowd, but no one objected. The holographic platform at the chamber's center activated, and the image of Admiral Vexthor appeared. He looked diminished somehow, his scales dull, his posture suggesting defeat rather than military pride. "Honored representatives," Vexthor began, his voice carrying an unfamiliar humility, "I stand before you not as a conqueror, but as a witness. What happened at Tyrannus IV will be recorded in history as the day everything changed. I am here to tell you what my empire learned, so that others might avoid our mistakes." He gestured, and new footage appeared on the displays. The shadow of Earth materializing from nothing, the failed bombardment, the devastating counterattack. Delegates watched in stunned silence as the mysterious vessel dismantled an entire war fleet. "We fired upon the human ship with the combined might of 200 warships," Vexthor continued. "Enough firepower to destroy anything we have ever encountered. The vessel absorbed our attack and used that energy against us. When we attempted to flee, they prevented our escape. They demonstrated technology so far beyond ours that we might as well have been throwing rocks." "Assuming this footage is authentic," a Zentari delegate interrupted, his crystalline body refracting light as he spoke. "What proof do you have that these beings are actually human? The species is mythological." Vexthor's expression hardened. 3 days ago, I would have agreed with you. Now I have lost 2/3 of my fleet to that myth. The vessel identified itself. It spoke to us, warned us, and when we ignored that warning, it demonstrated exactly what humans are capable of." "But where did they come from?" a Meraxian representative asked, her tentacles writhing with agitation. "If humans exist, why have we never encountered them? Why reveal themselves now?" "That," said a new voice, "is an excellent question." The chamber fell silent. The voice had come from nowhere, echoing through the hall despite no speaker being visible. Security teams scrambled, weapons raised, scanning for threats. Then, in the center of the chamber, space itself seemed to fold. The air shimmered, distorted, and suddenly a human stood where nothing had been moments before. The being was smaller than most species present, perhaps 1.8 meters tall. Their skin was a medium brown, their black hair cut short. They wore a simple uniform of dark material that seemed to absorb light. But what struck the delegates most forcefully was the human's eyes, brown and warm, yet holding depths that suggested vast intelligence and unmeasurable age. "My name is Captain Maya Chen of Earth," the human said calmly, as if materializing in a secured government chamber was entirely normal. I apologize for the dramatic entrance, but your security protocols made a conventional approach somewhat complicated. I'm here to answer your questions. Security personnel surrounded the human, weapons aimed. Captain Chen raised her hands slowly, palms out, in a gesture of peace. Please, Mira said, recovering her composure with admirable speed. Stand down. If the captain meant us harm, I suspect she would not have announced herself. She turned to Chen. You teleported into a secured facility. That should be impossible. Many things we do were considered impossible, Chen replied. Until they weren't. May I approach? I find it easier to have conversations without weapons pointed at me. Though I understand if you need that security measure. Mira studied the human for a long moment, then nodded to her guards. They lowered their weapons, but remained alert. Chen walked to the center platform, moving with a fluid grace that suggested extensive physical training. You want to know where we've been, Chen said, addressing the entire chamber. The answer is both simple and complex. Humanity has been watching the galaxy for over 300 years, ever since we developed faster-than-light capability. We chose not to reveal ourselves because we needed to understand what we were dealing with. You've been spying on us? A delegate accused. Observing, Chen corrected. Learning, understanding. We discovered a galaxy filled with hundreds of species, most of them peaceful, some of them aggressive, all of them fascinating. We saw the Commonwealth form, watched the Crithian Empire expand. We monitored wars, celebrated peace treaties, and grieved when civilizations destroyed themselves. But why hide? Mira asked. The Commonwealth welcomes all peaceful species. Chen's expression grew somber. Because we learned something about ourselves during our observation period, something that frightened us. Humans are different from nearly every species we encountered. Our world, Earth, is what we call a death world. The gravity is higher than 92% of inhabited planets. Our atmosphere is more oxygen-rich and supports more aggressive chemistry. Our ecosystem is more competitive, more lethal, more unforgiving. She paused, letting that sink in. These conditions shaped us in ways that made us fundamentally different. Physically, we're stronger than most species our size. We heal faster. We can survive injuries that would kill others. But more importantly, those conditions shaped our psychology. We evolved to be adaptable, persistent, and perhaps most critically, violent when necessary. Are you threatening us? A delegate demanded. No, Chen said firmly. I'm being honest with you. When we first observed galactic civilization, we were horrified by how warlike we appeared in comparison. While the Commonwealth species negotiate and compromise, humans have a saying, speak softly and carry a big stick. We understand peace, but we prepare for war. We value cooperation, but we train for conflict. This troubled us deeply. She activated a holographic display of her own, showing images of Earth. Beautiful blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. Then the images changed, showing cities, ships, and technologies that made the delegates gasp. We spent 300 years asking ourselves if we deserved to join galactic society, Chen continued. We worried that our violent nature would corrupt the peace you had built. So we watched, and we waited, and we built defenses in case the galaxy ever threatened us. The Shadow of Earth is one of 12 such vessels we constructed. Not to attack, but to ensure our survival if someone discovered us and decided humans were too dangerous to exist. Then why reveal yourselves now? Mira asked. What changed? Tyrannus IV changed our minds, Chen replied simply. We watched the Crithian fleet prepare to bombard a civilian population. 15 million innocent lives about to be snuffed out. We had a choice. Remain hidden and let them die, or act and expose ourselves. Our debate lasted approximately 3 seconds. She looked directly at Vexthor's hologram, Admiral, I want you to understand something. The shadow of Earth could have destroyed your entire fleet in under a minute. We disabled most of your ships instead. We gave you the chance to rescue survivors. We provided power to the colony's shields rather than attacking your forces directly. These were conscious choices, not limitations of our capability. Vexthor met her gaze, his expression unreadable. After a moment, he bowed his head slightly. I understand, Captain, and I am grateful. Many of my warriors live because of your restraint. But that restraint has a limit, Chen continued, addressing the full chamber again. Humanity will no longer stand by while innocent species suffer. We are officially announcing our presence to the galaxy and formally requesting membership in the Galactic Commonwealth. The chamber erupted. Delegates shouted questions, objections, concerns. Mira struck her staff repeatedly, trying to restore order. Please, the Chancellor called, let us address this systematically. Captain Chen, your technology appears to exceed ours by a significant margin. How do we know humanity won't use that advantage to dominate others? You don't, Chen admitted. You have to trust us, just as we must trust you not to fear us into isolation or attack us preemptively. But I can offer evidence of our intentions. 300 years of observation without interference. Our response at Tyrannus IV, we protected the weak rather than exploited them. And this, we're willing to share some of our technology with the Commonwealth. That caused another wave of excited murmurs. What technology? A delegate asked eagerly. Medical advances primarily, Chen replied. Treatments for diseases that plague multiple species. Agricultural improvements to increase food production. Power generation that's cleaner and more efficient. We won't share weapons technology, not yet and perhaps not ever. But we can help improve lives across the galaxy. And what do you want in return? Mira asked carefully. Recognition, trade, cultural exchange, the opportunity to prove that humanity can be a constructive force in galactic civilization. Chen smiled slightly. And honestly, we're lonely. We've been watching you for 3 centuries. We've studied your literature, your music, your philosophies. We want to meet you, not as observers or shadows, but as equals and friends. A Peltharian delegate, resembling a large insectoid creature, clicked forward. You say humans are more violent than other species. How do we reconcile that with membership in a peaceful alliance? That's the important question, Chen acknowledged. Yes, humans have capacity for tremendous violence, but we also have capacity for tremendous compassion. We've studied your histories and found that every species in this chamber has fought wars, committed atrocities, and struggled with their darker impulses. What matters is not whether violence exists within us, but whether we choose to control it. She gestured to the footage still displayed. At Tyrannus IV, we could have chosen genocide. Instead, we chose protection. That is who humanity wants to be in this galaxy. Not conquerors, but guardians. Not tyrants, but allies. Mira studied the human thoughtfully. Captain Chen, the Council will need time to debate your request. Membership in the Commonwealth requires extensive review and approval from multiple committees. This process typically takes years. We understand, Chen replied. We've waited 3 centuries. We can wait longer. But while we wait, we won't remain passive. If we observe species attacking civilians, destroying peaceful worlds, committing acts of cruelty against those who cannot defend themselves, we will intervene. Consider us the galaxy's uninvited peacekeepers until you decide if you want us to be official ones. That's a dangerous precedent, a delegate warned. Who decides what constitutes worthy intervention? Who holds you accountable if you make mistakes? You do, Chen said simply. Hold us accountable. Judge our actions. If we abuse our power, tell us. If we overstep our bounds, challenge us. We're not claiming to be perfect or all-knowing. We're offering to use our strength in service of protecting the innocent. If you believe we're failing that mission, help us do better. The chamber fell quiet as delegates considered this. Finally, Mira spoke. Captain Chen, you have given us much to consider. I propose we establish a formal communication channel between Earth and the Commonwealth Council. While we evaluate your membership request, perhaps we can begin smaller collaborations, joint humanitarian efforts, cultural exchanges, scientific cooperation. Chen smiled genuinely for the first time, and several delegates were struck by how the expression transformed her face. That sounds perfect, Chancellor. We would be honored. There is one more question I must ask, Mira said. You mentioned 12 vessels like the Shadow of Earth. Are there more humans? How large is your population? Earth's current population is approximately 14 billion, Chen replied. We've also established colonies on 6 other worlds in our home system and 3 in nearby systems. As for military capability beyond the 12 Guardian vessels, I think it's better if that remains unknown for now. Trust must be built gradually after all. A Zentari delegate laughed, a sound like chiming crystals. She just told us she has secrets while asking us to trust her. I think I like humans already. Chen grinned. We're a complicated species, delegate. I suspect you'll find us frustrating, inspiring, infuriating, and fascinating in roughly equal measure. One last thing, Vexthor's hologram spoke up. Captain, what message should I take back to the Crithian Empire? They will want to know how to proceed regarding humanity. Chen turned to face him fully. Tell them this. Humanity seeks peace, but is prepared for war. We prefer negotiation, but will not hesitate to defend the innocent. We offer friendship to those who embrace it and opposition to those who threaten others. Most importantly, tell them that the age of unchecked aggression in this galaxy is over. There is now a species capable of stopping it, and we will. Vexthor bowed formally. I will deliver your message, Captain, and personally, I hope the Crithian High Command is wise enough to listen. As the session concluded and delegates filed out, already composing reports for their home worlds, Mira approached Chen privately. That was quite a performance, the Chancellor said quietly. It wasn't a performance, Chen replied. Every word was true. I believe you. But, Captain, you've just upended centuries of galactic politics. Every government will now be re-evaluating their strategies, their defenses, their diplomatic relationships. You've created tremendous uncertainty. I know, Chen acknowledged, but we've also created an opportunity. The galaxy now knows that someone is watching, someone capable of intervening when atrocities occur. Perhaps that knowledge alone will prevent some conflicts. Or perhaps, Mira said thoughtfully, it will unite certain factions against you. Fear is a powerful motivator. Then we'll face that challenge when it comes, Chen replied. Humanity didn't survive by avoiding difficult situations. We survived by confronting them, adapting to them, and overcoming them. Whatever comes next, we'll handle it. Mira smiled. I think the galaxy is going to find humanity very interesting, Captain Chen. Welcome to galactic politics. It's messier than any war you've ever fought. Chen laughed. Chancellor, we have a saying on Earth. War is politics by other means. We've been practicing for this longer than you know. As Captain Chen activated her transport and vanished from the chamber, Mira stood alone, contemplating the future. The galaxy had changed in a single day. Humanity had emerged from the shadows, and nothing would ever be quite the same again. The question now was whether that change would bring a new era of peace or unprecedented conflict. Only time would tell. But somewhere in the void, 11 more human vessels waited silently, watching, ready to ensure that if conflict came, it would not be innocent species who suffered. The Crithian High Command Chamber resembled a war room more than a governmental space. Holographic battle maps covered every surface, displaying Crithian-controlled territories, contested zones, and targets for future expansion. Supreme Commander Krathzar, eldest and most decorated warrior of the Empire, stood at the center of it all, his scales bearing the scars of 100 battles. Around him, the 7 members of the High Command argued. "We must strike before they establish themselves further," War Master Thexanol insisted, slamming his claws on the tactical display. "They have revealed themselves. We know where one of their vessels operates. We can mass our entire fleet and overwhelm them with numbers." "Did you not review the battle reports?" Intelligence Director Sevrain countered. "Admiral Vexthor's fleet numbered 300 ships. They couldn't even scratch the human vessel's shields. What makes you think more ships will make a difference?" "Because we'll be prepared this time," Thexanol argued. "We'll know what to expect. We can develop countermeasures." "Countermeasures against what?" Sevrain demanded. "Technology we don't understand? Weapons that disable our systems through shields? Ships that can teleport or move at impossible speeds? We have no data on how their systems work, which means we cannot counter them." Supreme Commander Krathzar listened to the debate with growing frustration. The arrival of humanity had done something he'd never thought possible, made the Krithian Empire appear weak. For centuries, they had been the dominant military power in their region of space. Now, a single unknown vessel had destroyed that reputation in minutes. "What of the Commonwealth?" another commander asked. "Have they accepted humanity's membership request?" "Not yet," Sevrain reported. "The Council is debating it. However, intelligence suggests most species are inclined to approve. The humans won significant goodwill by protecting Tyrannus IV." "Then we must act before they gain political protection," Thexanol insisted. "No." The word came from Krathzar, and everyone fell silent. "We will not attack humanity. Not yet." "Supreme Commander," Thexanol began. "You want to know why?" Krathzar interrupted. "Because the humans gave us a gift, and we would be fools not to recognize it." The other commanders exchanged confused glances. "What gift?" someone asked. "Information," Krathzar replied. "They showed us their capability, but not their full strength. They disabled rather than destroyed. They warned rather than attacked without mercy. This tells us several things. First, they prefer to avoid unnecessary killing. Second, they possess far more power than they demonstrated. Third, they want to be respected, not feared." He manipulated the holographic display, bringing up an image of the shadow of Earth. Captain Chen mentioned 12 such vessels. Assume she was truthful. That means they have 11 more guardian ships, as she called them. But I suspect they have much more than that. "Based on what evidence?" Sevrain asked. "Based on strategic thinking," Krathzar replied. "No species reveals their full military capability when announcing their presence. The 12 Guardian vessels are likely their deterrent force, what they show to prevent attack. Their actual military must be substantially larger. If we attacked now, we would be fighting blind against an enemy with superior technology and unknown numbers." "Then what do you propose?" another commander inquired. "We watch, we learn, we prepare." Krathzar expanded the display to show the entire galaxy. "The humans have changed the balance of power, yes, but they've also created opportunities. Our expansion was being limited by the Commonwealth's alliance. Now there's a new power that the Commonwealth must accommodate. That creates instability, political uncertainty, shifting allegiances." "You want to exploit the chaos," Sevrain said, understanding dawning. "Exactly. While the galaxy adjusts to humanity's presence, we can consolidate our holdings, strengthen our defenses, and identify potential allies who share our concerns about human intervention." Krathzar pointed to several systems on the map. "There are dozens of species that will resist human morality being imposed on them. We find them. We unite them. We build a coalition." "A coalition against humanity?" Thexanol asked. "Not against," Krathzar corrected. "A coalition for sovereignty. for the right of each species to govern themselves without interference from self-appointed peacekeepers. Frame it correctly, and we can turn human intervention from a strength into a political liability. Meanwhile, in a very different setting, Professor Dekori of the Commonwealth Science Institute sat in her laboratory, surrounded by the sensor data from Tyrannus 4. The elderly Velori had spent 6 decades studying physics, and nothing in her experience prepared her for what she was analyzing. Her assistant, a young Zentari named Christelle, manipulated the holographic equations floating between them. "It's impossible," he said for the 3rd time that hour. "The energy requirements alone would require a power source equivalent to a small star." "Yet they did it," Dekori replied, studying the readings. "The human vessel absorbed weapons fire from hundreds of ships and redirected that energy. The question is how?" "Some form of perfect energy conversion," Christelle suggested. "But that violates thermodynamic principles. There's always waste heat, entropy. Perhaps their technology found a way around those limitations." Dekori highlighted a specific section of data. "Look at this. When their shields flickered under concentrated fire, we got a brief glimpse of the energy patterns underneath. They're not using conventional shield technology at all." "Then what are they using?" "If I'm reading this correctly, and I'm not certain I am, they're manipulating space-time itself, creating a localized field that redirects energy and matter around the vessel." Dekori shook her head in wonder. "It's not a shield in the traditional sense. It's more like the ship exists slightly outside normal space." Christelle's crystalline body refracted light in patterns that indicated deep thought. That would explain how they teleported into the council chamber, and how they appeared at Tyrannus 4 without any jump signature. "It would also explain their speed," Dekori added. "If they can manipulate space-time, they're not actually moving faster than light. They're shortening the distance between points." "Professor, if they can do this, what else can they do?" Christelle asked, his voice carrying a hint of fear. Dekori was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know, but I suspect we've only seen the beginning of human capabilities." On Earth, in a facility hidden deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Captain Chen briefed the Human Defense Council on the Commonwealth's initial response. "They're cautiously optimistic," she reported, standing before a holographic representation of 23 officials representing Earth's various governments. "Chancellor Mira is supportive, as are most peaceful species. The Crithian Empire has withdrawn for now, though our intelligence suggests they're planning something." "And the other Guardian vessels?" asked General Marcus Webb, commander of Earth's defensive forces. "Positioned and ready. The Shadow of Earth incident has every aggressive species in the galaxy reevaluating their strategies. We've detected increased military communications, fleet movements, and diplomatic activity. Everyone is trying to figure out what humanity means for their plans." "Good," said President Amara Okafor, Earth's current global executive. "Let them wonder. Uncertainty is a deterrent." "With respect, Madam President," Chen replied, "uncertainty can also provoke fear, and fear leads to irrational decisions." "Then we need to demonstrate consistency," suggested Ambassador Liu Wei, Earth's first official diplomatic representative to the Commonwealth. "We intervened at Tyrannus 4 because civilians were threatened. We need to make it clear that we'll intervene in similar situations but not in territorial disputes or political conflicts." "Easier said than done," General Webb pointed out. "How do we define when intervention is appropriate? Every conflict has multiple perspectives. Every aggressor believes they're justified." "We use human moral standards," Chen suggested. "We protect civilians. We oppose genocide. We stop slavery. We prevent unprovoked attacks on peaceful worlds. Beyond that, we let species settle their own disputes." "Some will call that cultural imperialism," Liu Wei warned, "imposing human values on alien societies." "Perhaps," President Okafor said, But there are some values we consider universal: the right to live, the right to be free from oppression, the right to raise children without fear of violence. If defending those makes us imperialists, I can live with that label. Chen activated a new display, showing intelligence gathered over the past week. We're detecting increased coordination between several aggressive species. The Crithians, the Vortan Dominion, the Hector clans, they're all communicating more frequently. We believe they're forming some kind of alliance. Against us? General Webb asked. Possibly, or more accurately, against the concept of human intervention. They're framing it as a sovereignty issue, the right of species to govern themselves without outside interference. That's actually a clever approach, Liu Wei observed. It makes us look like the aggressors for trying to stop their aggression. So what do we do? President Okafor asked. We stay the course, Chen replied. We make good on our promises. When the Commonwealth debates our membership, we participate honestly. When species ask for technological assistance, we provide it freely. When civilians are threatened, we protect them. Let our actions speak louder than our opponents' words. And if they unite against us? If they decide humanity is too dangerous to be allowed in the galaxy? General Webb's question hung heavy in the air. Chen met his gaze steadily. Then we remind them why that would be a terrible mistake. The Shadow of Earth was built to demonstrate capability while exercising restraint. We have other vessels built for very different purposes. If someone forces us into a real war, they'll discover that humans are extraordinarily good at warfare. We just prefer not to be. Back on Tyrannus 4, the colonists were experiencing firsthand what human assistance meant. Medical teams from Earth had arrived within days of the battle, bringing treatments for injuries that local medicine couldn't address. Engineers worked alongside colony technicians to repair damaged infrastructure and improve defensive systems. But what struck the colonists most wasn't the technology. It was the humans themselves. Dr. Sarah Kamani worked in one of the colony's makeshift hospitals, treating wounded from the Crithian bombardment. A Peltharian child lay on her examination table, scared and in pain from a severe burn. "It's okay," Sarah said gently, her translator converting the words into clicks and chirps the child could understand. "This is going to feel cool and tingly, but it won't hurt. I promise." She applied a regenerative gel, human medical technology far beyond what the colony possessed. The child's parent watched nervously, antennae twitching. "How long until he heals?" the parent asked. "The severe inflammation should reduce in about an hour," Sarah explained. "Full healing will take 3 days. You'll need to apply more gel twice daily. I'll show you how." 3 days? The parent's antennae straightened in shock. "Our doctors said 6 weeks minimum." Sarah smiled. Human medicine had to get very good at treating injuries quickly. "Our history wasn't always peaceful." "I noticed your species seems to excel at both causing and treating injuries," the parent observed, mandibles clicking in what Sarah's translator indicated was humor. "Fair point," Sarah acknowledged. "But we've learned from our mistakes. We channel that intensity toward helping now instead of hurting." Later, as Sarah took a break, she found Captain Chen surveying the colony's reconstruction efforts. "How are they responding to us?" Chen asked. "Mostly positive," Sarah replied. "Some are wary, especially given how we announced ourselves. But actions speak loudly. Every life we save, every home we rebuild, it shows them who we want to be." "Good, because this is just the beginning." Chen gestured to the stars overhead. "There are thousands of colonies like this one, millions of civilians who could use help. We can't save everyone, but we can make a difference." "Captain, do you ever worry that we're taking on too much?" Sarah asked. "The galaxy is vast. Problems are endless. How can we possibly help them all?" "We can't," Chen admitted, "but we can try. And sometimes trying is enough. Sometimes being willing to stand up for those who can't defend themselves changes everything." 3 weeks after the Tyrannus 4 incident, The Galactic Commonwealth Council reconvened for a formal vote on human membership. Delegates packed the chamber, and billions across the galaxy watched the proceedings. Chancellor Mira addressed the assembly. We have reviewed humanity's request for Commonwealth membership. We have analyzed the evidence of their capabilities, studied their proposed contributions, and debated the implications of their presence. Now we must vote. The voting was conducted by species, each delegation casting a single vote. The chamber fell silent as results appeared on the main display. 41 votes in favor, 3 votes against, 3 abstentions. The motion passes, Mira announced. By the authority granted to me as Chancellor of the Galactic Commonwealth, I officially welcome humanity as our 48th member species. Captain Chen, would you like to address the council? Chen stepped forward, and this time, she didn't teleport. She had arrived through conventional means, demonstrating respect for protocol. Thank you, honored delegates, she said simply. We know some of you have concerns. We know our technology and our nature make some species uncomfortable. But we promise you this. We will work every day to earn your trust. We will contribute to the Commonwealth's mission of peace and cooperation, and we will use our strength not to dominate, but to protect. We will defend any Commonwealth world as if it were Earth itself. We will share what we can and learn what we must. Most importantly, we will remember that membership means partnership. Your wisdom guides us, just as we hope our capabilities serve you. The chamber erupted in applause, not universal but widespread. It was a beginning. After the session, as delegates mingled, discussing the implications of humanity's membership, Mira approached Chen privately once again. You've done it, Captain. You're officially part of galactic civilization now. We did it together, Chen replied. Thank you for giving us a chance. Don't make me regret it, Mira said with a slight smile, though I suspect the galaxy is about to become a much more interesting place. Interesting is one word for it, Chen agreed. Chancellor, I need to tell you something. We've detected a coalition forming, aggressive species coordinating their efforts. They see humanity as a threat to their ambitions. I'm aware, Mira said quietly. Our intelligence has noticed the same patterns. Do you think they'll challenge us? Eventually, yes. They'll test our resolve, probe for weaknesses, try to find situations where we won't or can't intervene. Chen's expression grew serious. When that happens, we'll need the Commonwealth's support. Not military support necessarily, but political backing. Legitimacy. You'll have it, Mira promised. You're one of us now. An attack on humanity is an attack on the Commonwealth. Then we face whatever comes together, Chen said. Above them, beyond the space station where the council met, the stars shone eternally. Somewhere among those stars, the 12 Guardian vessels maintained their watch. On Earth and its colonies, 14 billion humans went about their lives, most unaware of the role their species now played in galactic affairs. But those who knew understood. Humanity had stepped onto a stage that spanned light years. They had announced themselves not as conquerors, but as protectors, not as tyrants, but as guardians. The galaxy had been shocked by humanity's arrival. But shock would fade. What remained would be determined by actions, by choices, by whether humans could live up to the ideals they proclaimed. Captain Maya Chen stood at a viewport watching ships from a dozen species departing the station. Each carried news of humanity's acceptance, spreading word across the galaxy. Some would celebrate, some would fear, some would plot against this new power. But humanity was ready. 300 years of watching had taught them about the galaxy. 3 million years of evolution on a death world had taught them how to survive. And thousands of years of their own history had taught them that the greatest strength wasn't in weapons or technology. It was in the choice to stand up for those who couldn't stand for themselves. The shadow of Earth hung in orbit nearby, visible through the viewport, silent, watchful, ready. And across the galaxy, 11 more ships just like it waited in the void. Guardians of a new order where the innocent would be protected and the aggressive would face consequences. The age of unchecked conquest had ended. A new era had begun. And humanity, those strange, resilient, complicated beings from the death world called Earth, stood at its center, bridge between peace and protection, diplomacy and deterrence. The galaxy would never be quite the same. And perhaps, Chen thought, that was exactly what it needed.